represent the Delhi Club of Columbia Alumni Association. Thanks everybody for coming, for all those who could make it. So I'll give you a quick introduction of Columbia Alumni Association, and then I'll pass it over to Sonal, who has organized the entire event and she'll also be moderating today's discussion. So Columbia Alumni Association is the alumni association of Columbia University. We have about 200 plus chapters across the world. 5 of them are in India. One of them is Delhi, and we have Bombay, Bangalore. These are the 3 most active ones, and we have 2 or 3 more upcoming ones, one in Hyderabad, Chennai and Kolkata.
Thank you, Nikhil. Very, very, very happy to organize this event, and I'm so glad that all of us are here. So what was the motivation in organizing or thinking about a panel like this? In 2012, PwC, along with Strategy, who's now part of PwC, released a report saying that about 800 million women were expected to enter the global economy over the next decade. And this third billion, if you will, was as significant as the billion plus populations of India and China and would contribute to their countries. But in India, we've been seeing a slightly different story. Especially, over the last 2 decades, but also over the last decade, from about 2003-04 to 14-15, we've been seeing a decline in labor force participation of women. There are multiple reasons.
First of all, I want to say thank you to the Columbia Alumni Association chapter in Delhi for organizing this. Thank you so much to you, Sonal, and to Nikhil. It's really wonderful to be among you all, both Columbia and non-Columbia people, among such lovely panelists. I want to say a little bit about the early part of my career, perhaps, and that's moving from being a student in some ways to a faculty member, right? And so my journey in that sense was a bit unusual because my first postdoctorate, once I finished my doctorate, while I was a student, as you know, in the US, you're often teaching or you often have adjunct jobs or you're visiting faculty to make up for the funds as you do your research and you also produce your dissertation.
So I guess if I could borrow from Ravina that we all go through these phases, and after banking and after doing a lot of things I thought were cool to do, what I wanted to do. Both Sumant and I stepped back and of course set up the advisory firm because it was a function of reverse inquiries, and we thought we'd established an area of expertise, and we set up that company. But in parallel, we were looking at other opportunities as well. And I've always been inclined towards the social sector. Even as a young student, I was engaged in a lot of activities. But then after CIPA, I had to earn some money. And so I also thought investment banking was good and interesting. And spent a lot of my time in emerging markets. So all that was good. But I said, let's just explore what are the other things.
Thanks so much, Sonal. I'm really delighted to be here for this conversation. But I still remember when you first called me up to participate, and I said, I'm in such a long career, but I've never ever consciously reflected that what it means to be a woman to do this journey, right? And so thank you for making me conscious of that, So, which is very interesting for me. So, I'll step back a little bit before I get into the evolution, because when you're talking about us in the non-profit sector and how this journey even for me began. So imagine when you're in university, you're stepping out, and you are pretty much thinking about all the mainstream options. Either you're going to teach or you're going to study further, get into some other area, mainstream area, and suddenly something like CAC happens to you without design. Okay? And sheer accident, because the founder director Aggarwal just calls you and said, the research that you're doing as part of your MPhil seems pretty relevant to what I'm doing right now. Will you be interested to do a paper for me?
Yeah. I want to pause here for a second and see if there are any questions from the audience. Are there any thoughts, questions, dilemmas that you all might have? share. Yeah, please go ahead.
So, hi, I also went to Columbia, graduated in '09, and I run an NGO in Najafgarh, and one of you guys were speaking a lot about field work and women's safety and things, and one of the biggest dilemmas that we have with running our women's empowerment NGO is having women volunteers coming to our center to work, and the majority of the time, people come one time, and then they say, I can't come back unless I can go with you. I'm not going to go by myself. I don't feel safe. And that's women who grew up in Delhi most of the time. And so it's been really interesting, I think, like managing how to get people to that location that is through a part of Delhi that is not the safest part of Delhi to travel through. I don't know, I'm just curious about both of y'all's experience with your field work and how you guys had to work with other women or organize things like that.